everyone, and welcome back to another episode of We're Watching Star Trek, the original series. I am Brandon, as always here with Paul.
Yo, what's up, people? Paul here again, another episode. Let's get to it.
And sometimes here with Dan.
Just sometimes. But I'm here today.
Just every now and then. And today we're covering Season 1, Episode 28, The City on the Edge of Forever. Original air date, Paramount says, was April 5th, 1967. Every other source I have says April 6th, 1967, and now I'm starting to wonder if I've been wrong on every single one of these, because Paramount is probably wrong on every single one of these.
Could be. Who knows?
The other thing that they're wrong about is they don't have any fucking English subtitles for this episode. So I was back
Why
to
are you dealing with that, by the way?
I tried, my computer has this thing where they're like, yeah, we can do auto subtitles for you, and I was like, sweet, that'll help out, and I turned that thing on, and it was all just complete fucking gibberish. Not one word of it made sense, and I don't know how people use that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really good time. So, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and dive right in and talk about this episode. It opens, obviously, with the Enterprise orbiting a planet, and inside the bridge, just starts shaking from all of the space turbulence that they're dealing with. And Kirk is just kind of giving out orders, tells Sulu to maintain orbit. So, hey, Sulu's back, thank God.
Back from vacation.
Yeah, he just needed a day off. And Scotty warns that their control circuits are going to overload because that ship just can't take much more of whatever's happening to it. And then shortly after, Sulu's helm just fucking explodes and throws him to the ground, like just tosses him from his station.
Which was very, very different for the show and kind of weird in a way, honestly.
Yeah, dude, I thought it was going to be like Sulu in Trouble episode. Like he was going to be, I don't know, like in the med bay or something, just like fighting for his life. But no, he was totally cool.
One thing that happened, though, I noticed is kind of strange. He called sick bay to bridge, by the way. I've never seen him call the medical team to the bridge or call the medical team anywhere. And I remember him calling him sick bay either. Maybe it was just me. But
why didn't they say that they need like a medic or a doctor? Like you can't bring. It's just McCoy shows up with the entire sick bay room, just the whole fucking room, just puts it in there.
I'm not sure. I don't know. It's the first time he has to ask for help before. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Well, a lot of times Bones is up there already, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but people have been hurt on planets though. But people hurt on planets and he doesn't call. I don't remember him call Bones like for medical attention immediately. Bones is kind of there. So I've never actually, I don't remember actually him call Bones to a situation, not Bones already being there.
We called him down for the burnt pizza monster. called him down to help that one out.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think normally, McCoy's usually there because they just needed a medical officer on their exploits. So yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he is always there just in case somebody gets hurt, I guess.
Yeah, so this is the first time I actually heard him call McCoy to come to something, which I thought was interesting.
Right, which actually that makes me think about the beginning of this show and like where we are now, because in the beginning, remember they were just like, yeah, we're just doing routine checkups on doctors and stuff, and you know, we're just going here, we're going there, and then it just became this thing like, yeah, we're always stopping a war or stopping the fucking galaxy from ending. Like, man, they really changed up what they were doing in this series from the beginning to now.
Yeah, like at the beginning, it was really small stakes, things like that, and now that we're further in, it seems the stakes have risen a lot higher to be more epic rather than regular stakes.
Right.
Well, they're just in a very bad part of the galaxy currently.
Yeah, they're in that part of the galaxy, like you got to roll up your windows when you fly by.
Yeah.
Kirk hits the fucking lock, like he's got just like an old school door lock on his seat there. He just fucking slaps it, and he's like, "It's a bad neighborhood, guys."
You got a club for the
club for the helm.
The shuttle, yeah, look at the club across it, like what?
Yeah, so Sulu gets tossed down, and Spock says that they're actually passing through some ripples in time, which is just random as shit. And Kirk turns to Uhura and orders her to send his recent logs to Starfleet Command just in case something happens, and to inform them that something or someone on the planet can affect changes in time, causing turbulent waves of space displacement.
He's probably like another god down there.
Another godlike creature. And so McCoy, he shows up on the bridge to help Sulu out, and he says, oh yeah, Sulu's cool, he just has a little heart flutter, and he says he's going to give him some cordrazine. And he gets this little needle out, and Kirk starts to give some advice, and McCoy's just like, whatever, and he just pokes Sulu with this thing, and Sulu wakes up immediately, and they have a little joke like between McCoy and Kirk, where McCoy's like, oh, you were about to give medical advice? And Kirk's just like, yeah, shut up before I slap you.
That's one thing I like about McCoy. He's straight up like, he's like, yo, this is me.
Yeah.
This is what I do. Like, what are you talking? That's the one thing I like about a relationship. McCoy's not afraid to, if it comes to medical issues, he's not afraid to tell the captain what he thinks, exactly what it is, almost all the time.
So Spock announces that they're plotting the last of the time ripples and that they hit a huge wave, or they do hit a huge wave, and everybody gets tossed around, and McCoy accidentally injects himself with his all of his remaining cordrazine, cordrazine? Yeah. Then he just starts absolutely freaking out, talking about killing people and calling everybody around him a bunch of murderers and killers. And he fucking freaks out and runs off.
I don't know. I think his freak out was really, really good acting, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it caught me off guard. I was like, wow, he's really going for this, like, for real. And, like, it was very, very, it was almost like Nicolas Cage-esque acting.
Yeah.
Like he went way, way over the top, but like it caught me off guard. So I was a huge fan of the way it went down. I was like, oh, cool, he's real acting. I liked it a lot. So
yeah, I've really liked DeForest Kelley through this entire series. I think Bones is actually like legitimately my favorite character.
Okay, see, I didn't know his name until just now.
You see, you know what happened?
DeForest Kelley.
Why McCoy was freaking out? He accidentally grabbed Scotty's stuff. And not, the actual medicine from the medical bay.
Oh yeah, it's a little, his alcohol.
Scotty's got that crazy stuff.
He's got that good shit.
good. Wow.
Scotty lives in the area where they have to lock the ship when they drive by, and nobody messes with him in that area.
That's where he hangs out at for fun.
Yep.
That's why we don't ever follow him around, because his adventures are too adult-like for Paramount.
Yeah, so Bones he freaks out and he runs off, and then Kirk calls a security alert, and we go to the show opening from there, and we come back with a captain's log that Kirk is basically explaining in the log that 2 drops of cordrazine is enough to save somebody's life, and 100 times that amount was what was injected into McCoy, and that wouldn't even phase old Scotty. Scotty needs like 300 times.
He calls that a Tuesday morning.
It's just a Thursday for him.
Yeah,
just a Thursday, man.
That's what he does to help himself sleep at night. Is like 300 times that plus a shot of whiskey, and he sleeps like a baby.
Calms him down, puts him straight to sleep.
Yep. So in the log, Kirk just explains that they don't know what's going to happen with McCoy and whether the effects are going to be permanent or temporary. Wow, I cannot say that at all. But
which is fair, because they're not doctors, so they wouldn't know what would happen.
And I imagine that nobody takes that much of that shit. Which, why would all of that be loaded up into one syringe anyway? Like, if you're not supposed to give anybody that much, why would it all be in one device?
Listen. Don't use common logic for simple things, because I was gonna lose my mind on myself about that situation. I'm like, there's no safety syringe, there's no not full load, because he's hit 100 times the amount.
Yeah.
So why would you load up something with 100 times the amount of product? It just don't make any sense to me personally.
Yeah, like, look, don't ever give anybody more than 2 drops of this, but here's a syringe with 8 gallons in it. Yeah. Just don't.
Exactly.
It should last you a while.
That's part of the thing I was talking about too.
Keep it out of Scotty's hands.
And nobody's worried that they just shared a needle also.
Oh man.
Well, you think that's an issue in the future? I feel like they probably have solved pretty much all the problems that are going to come from that. They probably don't even have like STDs and shit in the future.
They probably have all the
that's why Kirk's touring around the universe then.
Wait, have we seen anybody die to a disease yet? Like an actual besides a virus that attacks somebody, like an actual disease or not?
I don't. Well, the only thing I think
where
that
they
comes
were getting
close
drunk,
is
people were dying, but they weren't on the Enterprise at the time though. I don't think anyone died in that episode once they got to the Enterprise, did they?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think so. And yeah, I think the only like disease-related one is the one with the kids that would age really quickly, but that wasn't really a disease and more of like a viral outbreak. So
yeah, and they found a cure to that too. So
yeah, they've solved that pretty short.
So like they just go around, find a medical issue, just solve real quick. Like somebody might die here and there from issues, but they normally end up solving and finding a cure.
Yeah,
super fast. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
they probably got a pill to get rid of all the diseases. Like,
yeah,
girl,
probably.
Clean. I don't care if you're cleaning up, baby. I got one of these pills. Okay. I don't know what it's called, but
yeah, it's just like a cure-all for everything.
It's a cure-all. Just a wild night last night. Yeah, bro, you got a cure-all? Yeah, sure. Well, no, everything's good.
It's like a plan B for STDs.
You can't say that. Oh man. Oh, it's not that funny. I shouldn't laugh that hard. Okay.
Yeah, so meanwhile, McCoy goes to the transporter room and just fucks up this engineer, just knocks him out, and takes the engineer's phaser, and he just beams himself somewhere. He's like, I'm off this fucking ship of weirdos.
Hold on, I got a complaint right here. As many times as we've seen those people in the beam people down get knocked out, why is there not permanent security in there at all time?
Because they would be useless, and they know that.
Security's useless. Yeah, but you see the chop that McCoy gave him, by the way? He gave him a shoulder.
Him judo chop.
He gave him like a butt chop first. You see the butt chop? He gave him a chop down to his butt on his back, like, yeah. And he came up to his hop with chop, too. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I didn't see a butt chop.
You didn't see the butt chop?
No.
I didn't see it either.
Oh, my God. Oh my gosh! Next time you watch it again, man, it was a double chop, man. It was like a butt chop and then a top chop.
When he did the judo chop, all I could think of Austin Powers.
Yeah. I need to go back and see the butt chop. He's like, damn, man, the only killer in this place is them cheeks, and just fucking gives them a slap.
You gotta watch it again. Oh my gosh! He gave him a little butt chop. Just hey-ya!
So back on the bridge, Kirk and Spock are talking about how the records show that in doses such as this, the patient that receives the cortisone experiences wild paranoia, and that they become convinced that they're in danger and seek escape at any cost. So that's why McCoy is acting like a fucking madman, because he thinks everybody's out to kill him.
So they do know what happens when you inject, 100% of that crap into you.
Right, and they still put it all in that syringe. But they get a call from security, and security says that they found the transporter chief injured and that McCoy has beamed himself down to the planet. So Spock points out that at the time, the transporter was focused on the center of the time disturbance, and Kirk decides to set up a landing party and go after McCoy. So they do that. They beam down to the planet with Kirk and Spock and Scotty and a couple of security dudes, and Uhura's actually there, which is crazy because she's getting off the fucking ship for the first time in like the whole damn series.
Literally my number one note, dude.
Shine.
Yeah.
I wrote my note. I said, "My girl, Uhura." I said in two randoms.
Yeah, and it's about fucking time, dude. She's been on that ship for like 8 years.
I was really surprised, but I think they brought her here for one reason, by the way, and one line. Literally, later on when she says, like, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Like, she says it later on. I'm like, oh, they brought her on just for that one line. Because literally, she brings nothing to this whole episode. I agree with you. Nothing. But I'm glad she's here because she's her, and I like seeing her and stuff. I just, like, this whole episode, she's useless. Anybody could be in her spot. They could be anybody else to be there.
Yeah, they pretty much wasted those characters.
Yeah, I just think that if you're gonna bring her in here, I would have had a more pivotal part. Instead of you got her coming here with the guys, and the guys go on the adventure once again, and might get her sitting in the back there with a telephone on, not doing nothing. So right. I was hoping eventually they'll get her to participate in some of the coolest things they do. So
yeah, I think she was just there to just record everything, which they could have gotten literally anyone. I think normally that would have been a Janice thing, but where the fuck is Janice?
Yeah. Still haven't seen her for a while.
Yep. So they beam down to the planet and they're looking around and they find some ruins, and Spock scans them and he says that they're around 10,000 centuries old. And then they check out this big stone circle, and Spock says that he thinks it's the source of the time displacement, but he can't explain why. And it's been a big thing for him the last 3 or 4 episodes, is that he always has this thought like, hey, I think that this is this, but I don't know why.
Yeah, it's been I think it's been an ongoing thing for a while.
When I saw it, I'm like, is that the Stargate?
Oh, God. I've never actually seen Stargate. I know of it, but I've never seen it.
Wow. You see, and on that note, your cool nerd package is revoked. You are now fired from the cool section because Stargate is awesome.
Well, if you ever watch Aqua Hunger Titan Force, there was the Fargate.
See, I know of that.
The thing about Stargate is so cool, by the way, is like they do a really good job of taking like Egyptian mythology and space and correlating them together in such a clever way. And a lot of stuff doesn't do that. So that's really cool. It's really cool. I'm a huge fan.
I know we've talked about it at work, and it's one of those things I'll add to my never-ending list of shit to watch that I'll never get the chance to. So maybe eventually I'll check it out. But for the time being...
We're We're watching Stargate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're watching Stargate, the original series. SG-1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, SG-1, yeah. So anyway, Uhura and a security member, they report to the Enterprise that they haven't found McCoy, but as they're kind of walking around saying they haven't found him, they pass this big rock, and when they walk by, he pops up from behind the rock and scampers away.
Security's trash.
Every time.
They really are.
They don't understand that things can be on the other sides of things, so they think that rock is just like the one side, and that it's not possible for anything to be on the other side of it, so they didn't bother to look.
Even Scotty didn't notice him. That hurt me a little bit.
Well, Scotty
didn't notice him.
Scotty's fucked up from the night before. He's lucky to be walking.
Scotty got a hangover. He got an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let that go.
Yeah, so Spock says that the big circle rock has incredible power, but it isn't a machine as they understand it. And Kirk asks, well, what is this thing? And so the rock just starts to speak, and it answers him. And it's like, hey, I've been waiting.
And it's not Dwayne Johnson, by the way, either. It's not The Rock.
No, it's not The Rock. It is A Rock. It's not The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage either, which is the better Rock.
Oh, it's...
So yeah, the Rock just speaks to him, and it says that it's waited for a question since before their sun burned hot in space and before their race was born. So it's been waiting around for a little bit. And Kirk asks the Rock what it is, and the Rock says that it's the Guardian of Forever. And so Kirk asks, like, hey, are you a machine or a being? And the Guardian replies that it is both and neither, and that it is its own beginning and ending. And they're just kind of like rolling their eyes like, fuck, why did we even talk into this thing? Why do we bother? Nothing ever gives us a fucking straight answer in the show.
Yeah.
That would be so infuriating. Like, are you hungry? Well, I'm neither hungry nor not hungry. Like, all right, just fucking pick one.
Well, no, actually, technically, it makes sense though, because if I can't experience hunger itself in general, because I don't even know what hunger feels like, I'm not hungry, nor where can I be hungry?
Yeah, you're fired. You can be fired.
So that's
you're
why
fired.
he's like,
we're not doing this.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, I mean just yeah. Since if you can't be something, then you can't be in it. I mean, it's kind of an interesting paradox that they're talking about in a way.
Yeah, but still, fuck that Rock. And this is exactly this next note is exactly why, because Spock is like, look, there's no reason for these fucking riddles that you have. The Guardian just says that it's simply answering as their understanding makes possible, and Spock gives it this look like, fuck, like, am I dumb? Like, is this Rock like that much smarter than me?
It was a good burn from the Rock.
Oh yeah.
And Kirk enjoyed it also. You could tell that he was just kind of smirking over, like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, he's like, Spock, you fucking idiot.
You're like the rest of us.
So, so Scotty and another security member, they continue their search for McCoy, who manages to hide from them nearby, and they completely miss him. And then Spock tells Kirk that he thinks that the Guardian may actually be a time portal, and the Guardian says that that's as correct as possible for Spock, and that Spock's science knowledge is obviously primitive. And Spock's like, this motherfucker. He's like, you want to see primitive, bitch? Like, and he beams down a jackhammer and just fucking gets to work.
It's not often you see Spock being put in his place.
No, and it's fantastic when he does get put in his place. So like, this whole thing was hilarious because he's so like, if he could be offended, he would be offended.
But deep down, he's like, that motherfucker.
Yeah, he's gonna
I'm
fucking
go over
carve
there
that thing
and punch
up.
you.
Yeah. So then the Guardian just starts making some smoke, like it just lights one up, and then it shows them images of Earth's past, and McCoy pops out, just screaming like a banshee that they're all a bunch of killers and assassins, and they grab him, and then Spock just does the Vulcan nerve pinch thing and shuts him down immediately.
About time. Well, let's say it's about time he did that in the first place.
Yeah.
They're always fighting, a bunch of stuff going on. He ain't never give him
that should always be like the number one thing. Like, he should lead with that every time.
Exactly.
So Kirk wonders if they should, or if they could use the time portal to take Bones back one day in time and stop the accident from happening. And Spock's like, well, I don't know, dude. The images that we're seeing are going kind of fast. And so Kirk asks the Guardian if it can slow them down, but the Guardian's just like, no. like, no, I can't. I can't, just simply cannot. That's not how I work, you idiot. Like, have you ever seen a fucking Guardian of Time or whatever it is?
Guardian of Forever, he said.
Yeah, forever. My bad. So Spock just starts to put himself down. He's like, man, I'm stupid. I forgot to record. Like, my recorder can record at the correct speed to capture all these things, and I ain't been recording shit this whole time.
Now we know why the Rock's talking down to him also at this point.
Yeah, the Rock's over there like, see, I told you were fucking dumb. He's like, I knew it was going to happen. I've seen it in the future, and I didn't tell you about it, you idiot. So yeah, McCoy wakes up, and he just runs through the middle of the circle rock, and he disappears into time. And then as soon as that happens, Uhura says that she's lost contact with the ship, and then they all check their communicators, and they don't work because apparently they don't fucking believe her. Like, it's their entire job, and they're like, well, let's double check. And I hate that shit. Like, I'm the fucking expert here. Don't you double check my work. So the Guardian tells them that their vessel and that their beginning and all that they knew is gone, and Kirk believes that McCoy has gone back in time and changed history, and that now they're stuck there. And I shouldn't ask this, but we've already shown that this show operates on a single timeline, that they can go back in the past and affect the future. And if it fucked up that much, would they even exist at this point?
Okay, they're located on a planet and realm that's outside of the universe. Therefore, it's not affected by the time itself.
I will absolutely accept that answer. That's actually a really good answer. That the fucking Guardian thing distorts time and shields them from those events.
I'm going to assume that.
That's actually a really... Thank you, Paul. Thank you. You have settled my one big gripe from this, and I will accept that as headcanon, and we can fucking move forward from that. Boy, that was going to be a discussion, too. Thank you. Jesus. Yeah, so we go to a commercial break. We come back with a captain's log that has no star date, which I thought was really interesting. He's like, captain's log, I don't fucking know what day it is.
Never mind.
Yep. and Scotty's in the background like, yeah, welcome to the club, bro. And he says that...
I didn't realize the star date that day, by the way.
Yeah, he says they have no star date, and he says that time does not exist for them. And then he just kind of recaps the events from earlier and says that they've asked the Guardian to show them Earth's history again from the beginning so that he and Spock can try to go after McCoy. And Spock says that he was actually recording images with the tricorder when McCoy left, and he thinks that he knows when they need to jump in. So they're going to try to get there before McCoy did and stop him from changing history, which is a pretty solid plan. So the Guardian confirms that he's like, hey, if you guys do this right, then it'll be like you had never gone in at all. So that's, like I said, a pretty solid plan. And Kirk tells them that they have to try it, and if he and Spock fail, even if they fail, at least they'll be given... they'll be alive in a past world somewhere. So if they go there and fuck that up, it's not like they're gonna die. They'll just have to live in a different time period.
Well, I wonder. I was just watching this, the Orville, the show, and they have like rules of engagement if they ever get time sent back in time. Like they gotta live outside the people and do nothing to affect the timeline. I wonder if there's rules, Stargate Federation rules for if you go back in time, if you're allowed to. If you're allowed to affect things, or you're supposed to be quiet and not meet anybody, or what to do, so you don't affect anything else.
Well, what's weird is like throughout this first season, they found like 3 different ways to time travel, and they all seem to be the first. So it seems to be time travel is a new thing for humanity at this point. So I don't think they have any rules for that.
Yeah, see, I wonder. They might not have. I assume that they may. I thought maybe they would have an idea just in case it happens, or never even thought it existed. I'm not sure.
Right.
With everything going on, like, because I was wondering when McCoy got stuck there, like, if he ever didn't lose his mind and started being normal again, I wonder would he have to go through and not be able to affect anything and just stay there and not start a life.
Right. Yeah, and just stay out of the way of everything.
Yep.
Which actually, I realized I kind of misread my last note. Kirk just tells everybody that if he and Spock fail, then everybody else has to try as well. Like, they have to go in, and then if they all fail, then at least they get to live in the past time somewhere else. So he's like basically like, yeah, if we fuck this up, your turn, you're next. Don't jump in at a shitty time.
Yeah. But he also said no matter what, you have to try.
Yeah.
You know, which was like a really big sentimental. Like it's like all right, no matter what, you know.
Right.
You guys have to try. You don't be stuck here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What else are they gonna do? They have no way of getting home, and there's probably no food on the planet.
Yeah, and
I mean, if I was them, I would have tried to come to to maybe the 2000s. 2010s,
well, the big issue that if they're stuck on that planet with that rock, Scotty is going to sober up eventually, and nobody wants that.
Nobody wants to sober Scotty. Starts being a jerk. Starts yelling at everybody.
Yeah, he's way less fun.
Yeah.
he starts to remember all the things he did in the war, and it's not good.
No! Sake!
That's a fantastic movie, by the way.
It really is. Sake!
So
Oh, snap.
So Spock cues them in for their jump, and they go in as Uhura records it, and then they arrive at probably one of the worst points that they could have, because they're in the Great Depression of the 1930s. They actually show up in 1930 exactly. So they're looking around, and they notice that they stand out because of their clothing, and nobody else is dressed like them, and Spock worries about being able to blend in at all because of his ears and his insane fucking eyebrows.
I don't understand why they don't, ever have a plan for his ears.
Right?
Like, a camouflage mask.
Well, they weren't planning on time traveling.
But I mean, anywhere they go, though. Anywhere they go, 90% of the time, Spock has been the weirdo because he has the weird ears. Like, he's been the weird, like, one of the eyebrows.
But they're in the future, so they kind of know that there's... But, everyone that they go visit, they know that there's aliens out there, so there's going to be funny-looking beings.
Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be a way better way to have him camouflage himself.
Right. Yeah.
All the good technology they have, I think it's kind of weird.
Yeah. So they find some clothes to steal on a balcony, and Spock almost gets hit by a car, which is pretty fun. And he's looking like this car about runs him down on the road, and he stops and looks at it, and he's like, fascinating. Like, this thing is really interesting. Like, it's just a car.
Gas powered vehicle.
Yeah.
It almost killed me. We should try that again.
Actually, he'd probably do more damage to the car.
Oh, for sure. He just smashed the hood and it flips over him. One of those scenes. So, so Kirk climbs this balcony to steal some clothes, and as he comes down, a cop sees him, and he wants an explanation for what's going on. And Kirk says that Spock is obviously Chinese, and he tries to explain the ears, but he can't come up with anything. And Spock is like, yeah, remember, it's the unfortunate accident I had as a child. And Kirk says that Spock caught his head in a mechanical rice picker, but an American missionary plastic surgeon was nearby to help, and thankfully he was able to save him. And I was like, this is funny as fuck, but that would not fly today. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, but it's funny, but it's kind of like Kirk would never panic like this, though.
Yeah,
it's not really in his nature to be that that unsure. He would have thought of a plan in advance if something like this happened, because Kirk's kind of he's kind of a planner. So I just thought he would have had a better story in hand with to go on with this. I think
the mechanical rice picker is a perfectly plausible story. You know how many heads get caught in that per year
in the 1930s? It must be a big thing in the 1930s. To get his head.
Yeah,
a rice picker.
I just like how Spock just kind of stands there and just like, yep, that's what happened.
Yeah, damn rice picker every time. I feel like I'm not allowed to laugh at those jokes, but it's funny. It's funny as fuck.
No, it wasn't done in it's like any malintention.
No,
it was a joke.
Yeah. But the cop has heard enough of this, and he forces him against the wall so he can search him. And they manage to distract the officer for a moment, and then Spock just does the Vulcan nerve pinch to him, and they run away and hide in an empty cellar. They're just like, oh yeah, like, what's on your uniform here? And he's like, what is on my uniform? It just fucking pinches him.
Yeah, and then right after that,
some of the people in the background,
the guys that are
watching.
Yeah.
They're sitting there watching, like, not screaming for help, no whatever. They're sitting there watching. Like,
it's a bystander effect,
Yeah, but that's 1930s though. No.
No, that's been an issue since the dawn of time. Is the bystander effect?
Nah, they would have helped. 1930s, I think they would have helped you out a little bit.
No, it's a psychological thing it's implanted in our brains. Where, like, if there's a group of people and they see something happen, none of them do anything because they all think that someone else is going to do something, but none of them's going to do anything. It's like hardwired into our brains.
I don't know. I know the fact that they should have did something. They're sitting there watching. Not a fan of that one.
But also, it's the Great Depression. They're all depressed. They're lucky to even be out of bed.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that is. It's just when everybody got real sad.
I could take that.
Yeah, so they go down to the cellar and they change clothes, and Spock explains that they have about a week before McCoy arrives, but they don't know where he's going to come in. My question about that thing is, why wouldn't he come in at the same spot that they did? Like, if they all jump in at the same time, they're not going to end up randomly in different places, right? Because Kirk and Spock got in there at the same time,
okay,
so they're worried about where McCoy's going to show up.
Okay, so when he was talking about jumping through, he said he could only approximate how close he could get, and he was talking about we could either be a month ahead or a month after him, but we're trying to get there before him. So he kept saying he could calculate the exact time. So once he looked at looked at the date they arrived, he could calculate that at least he'll be here in a week.
Well, I guess my issue is, and I don't want to go too deep into this because it's not like a serious thing. Like, it doesn't ruin the episode for me. Like, it's not a big deal. But how do they decide where they went? Because they only knew when to jump in. They didn't know a where. Like, they had a time period on a screen. They didn't have an area or a location.
Oh, okay. You got the when. You mean the where, not the when. Oh.
Yeah, like, how is the where decided?
Maybe The Rock tried to help out as much as possible to get them approximately in the same general time and place.
Oh, no way. If that thing had the ability, it would definitely fuck with Spock and drop him, like, in the ocean somewhere. It's like, his swim, you fucking idiot.
Maybe whatever imagery is on up there is the same as the image of the place you go to.
Well, then why the fuck would it be showing an image of this stupid little town? If it's not a big deal.
Maybe we just random. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like that's definitely overthinking the episode, and
overthinking
it's not.
the issue. Yeah.
It's not a valid criticism. I'm just, doing a podcast. So
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So they think that time is fluid, like a river with currents, and that the same currents that took McCoy to a certain time and place might take them there too, which doesn't really explain anything, but they tried. And Spock thinks that with his tricorder and a computer, he could find McCoy's exact moment and place of arrival. And Kirk is like, well, you're going to have to build a computer because obviously it's like 1930 and they don't really have those. And he asks if Spock could build one, and Spock does not believe that he can. And Kirk is just like, well, that would pose an extremely complex problem in logic. And Spock just like raises his eyebrow like, did you say logic?
You now have my attention.
Yeah, and Kirk jokingly says that he sometimes expects too much from Spock. And Spock's like, all right, you fucking got me. I'm going to build you a damn computer.
Yeah, he made it like a challenge. He made it like a challenge.
I'll be your Alan Turing.
Yeah, he's like, well, I always thought you were better than this. And Spock, he's got to rise to that occasion. But somebody calls down for them. A woman calls down from upstairs asking who's down there, which is like the classic horror thing. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, if I hear a noise in the basement, I never open the basement door and go, hello? Is anybody there? I just feel like nobody fucking does that.
Here, I'm all alone in my house by myself. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
And then from the basement, somebody's like, no, nobody's here. And you just close the door like, oh, I guess nobody's down there. I have a safe
with $1 million in it. The password's 1234.
Yeah.
Please don't rob me.
Yeah. So Kirk just goes to greet her, and Spock puts on a hat to cover up his ears. So that's how they fix that problem. And Kirk apologizes. He's like, yeah, sorry, it's really cold outside, so we came in here to warm up. And she's like, it ain't that fucking cold. And Kirk tells her that they were being chased by a policeman for stealing some clothes. So he just like comes clean about it. She offers to let them help with chores. And Spock's like, well, yeah, like we can do that. We can help out, get paid, and I can buy my computer parts. So she offers them 15 cents an hour for 10 hours a day. And then Kirk is like, shit, yeah. And it's more than Starfleet pays me.
Good money.
Yeah, it's more than he gets paid to be captain. And he introduces himself to her, and he uses their real names. He's like, I'm Kirk, and I'm Spock. And then she's like, what kind of name is Spock? And he's like, oh, it's Chinese. They could have done that. They didn't do that, and they didn't do it.
Yeah. She probably wouldn't have questioned it either.
Right.
She knows all about those rice cookers.
Yeah, the mechanical rice pickers.
And not because she's a woman either.
Yeah. Damn, Dan.
Well, I don't want to take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Which now they are.
Yep. Now we're canceled. Thanks. No season 2.
No season 2.
Yep.
Not involved. It wasn't me.
Paul's been quiet the whole time.
I don't know what they're talking about. I have no idea.
Yeah. So Kirk asks where they are, and the woman named Edith tells them that they're at the 21st Street mission and that she runs it. And at this point, I'm like, yeah, Kirk's gonna fuck her. That's his goal now. He doesn't want to go back to where he's like, fuck this shit.
I looked and I was like, oh, Kirk's in trouble.
Yep.
That's how I feel every time I see any kind of pretty woman on any planet. Kirk's in trouble.
Yep.
Kirk's gonna do something stupid.
I thought though the same thing, like, oh, he's gonna fuck her. I'm like, wouldn't that really mess up the timeline also?
That's when he finds out he's his own great grandpa.
Oh no. Bad Kirk.
So we cut to a little bit later, and they're getting some food at the soup kitchen, and some guy, Edith is getting ready to like make a speech, and a guy jokes that they have to listen to her talk as payment for their food, and he just keeps talking badly about her, And then he actually gets ready to make a sex joke about helping him if she really wanted to help a man in need. And Kirk just tells him to shut up. He's like, shut up. And the guy starts talking to him. He's like, no, seriously, shut up. And the guy does shut up.
Yeah,
he's like, that's my future wife.
Yeah.
That's very sexist, sir. That was very sexist.
Yeah, that's why you're on the street, you fucking bum. So Edith, she goes up on the stage and she lectures them about not messing things up while they're, hanging out in the soup kitchen. And she goes on like this rant about the future and the possibility of space travel and the goodwill or the good that it'll bring. And Kirk is just basically, he talks to Spock. He's like, yeah, I'm a fucker, basically is what he says.
She's the one.
Yep, she's it.
Spock was like, what about Janice? He's like, Janice?
Yeah, he's like, who now?
Who now? I haven't seen her in months now.
Yeah, seriously, we haven't, though. So, a little later on, Edith commends Kirk on his work cleaning the basement. Apparently, they did a really good job. And she tells him that there's a vacant room at the place where she lives and that she can take him there if they want. So, we go to a little bit later, and they're in their new room, and Spock has started building his computer, and Kirk enters the room with some groceries. And Spock says that he needs a 5 to 6 pound block of platinum, and Kirk just basically says, like, look, I can't get you fucking anything, dude. Like, you need all this crazy shit, and I can't do anything for you.
No. The funny part is he says, no, I need a small amount. Before he said that, he said, I need a small amount. Yeah, just 5 or 6.
Yeah, just 5 or 6 pounds.
That's a small amount? Like, there must be a lot of stuff back over in the future when it comes to platinum.
Yeah, they got like platinum silverware, platinum toilet.
Yeah, platinum. Yeah, it's all around.
Yep.
They can go platinum's like the new silver for them.
Yeah,
apparently.
I also get the impression that a few days have passed in their last like cut to this area, so I feel like it's been because they seem pretty comfortable there, like they've really settled down. So I feel like it's been 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, they would have had to make some money to be able to buy that equipment that Spock was building anyway, so it would have had to at least been
right. Well, I mean,
3 or 4 days, like you said.
Working 10 hours a day for 15 cents an hour, they probably could have bought that after a single shift.
For real.
Yeah, they just went down to the old Walmart in 1930.
Yeah. Yep, bought all that stuff. So they're just hanging out talking, and they get interrupted by a knock at the door, and Edith enters to tell them that she can get them 5 hours of work at 22 cents an hour. And she sees the computer and asks what it is, and Spock tells her exactly what it is, but she's just like, all right, I don't fucking understand that. And then they leave. She just, no second thought. She's just like, oh, really advanced computer shit? All right, that's cool. Come work for 22 cents an hour.
Yeah, Spock could have literally said anything, and she's like, oh, cool.
She seems to just be like really, really accepting. He's like, yeah, I'm just building a robot to take over the world. And she's like, all right, well, you want some work? Does the robot want work?
I think the funny part had me laughing was Spock was kind of like, hey, you got me building a computer here with what equates to what do you say, sticks and stones or something?
Yeah.
Something about like fur.
Yeah, I forget exactly what the term that he used because he said it again later. Like, but yeah. Something
like you got me like sticks and stones. Something like that. Got me trying to build a computer with sticks and stones. Like, oh, okay. I guess it is electronics don't really exist then. So
yeah,
like nothing really. You got maybe the TVs then, black and white TVs, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, what a terrible time. What an absolutely terrible time. Yeah. I would not survive. If I had to go back in time, I wouldn't make it.
No Axe body spray. As an African American male, I like to clarify, I would not want to go back to the 1930s. No, thank you.
That you don't want to go there?
Nah, depression, nah. Not for me. Not for me. Let me try to go to the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully the food is better than 1930.
The food? Oh, what do you mean by the food?
Oh, I'm sure 1930s food is terrible.
1930 food probably was terrible.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. Had to be.
Oh, I bet everything was stale.
I don't know, man. I see this guy that makes old school food, like old cookbooks or whatever, on TikTok. I watch his videos, and they're actually kind of cool. It looks like some of my food might be good.
Well, when did refrigerators didn't become common until... I think they first...
Probably the 40s or 50s.
They first showed up, from what I'm reading, is they first hit the domestic scene in 1927. And by 1944, 85% of Americans had one. So, yeah, in the 30s, especially during Depression, ain't nobody got no fucking fridge.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's kind of changes.
I mean, I guess that just means that all of your stuff is fresh, but...
Gotta be bought fresh.
But at the same time, during the Depression, you're just, like, eating dirt. So, it's not going to be great food. I think people mostly were just like living off bread and shit back then, right?
Yeah, did they announce what city they were in? Like, did they give out an actual location?
Yeah, I don't think they ever said.
Because I believe
I don't remember, honestly.
During that time, like in New York City, it might have been a little bit earlier, but they would just throw their waste out the window on top, like onto the streets,
which is always nice. That can never go wrong.
So it would smell bad. So yeah, like Paul was saying, there's no Axe body spray to cover up, all the feces and moldy meat.
Everybody taking bath once every a month.
Yeah,
once every month, just bath time.
Yeah, so while these guys are working, Spock notices a few guys using some tools to fix a broken clock, and then later he breaks into the toolbox to get them. He has to crack a combination lock, and he opens this box to get some tools. And then we get this really weird cut to, like, they didn't even get caught or anything, but it cuts to later where Edith is asking why they did that. So apparently they did get caught, we just didn't see it. And Spock just says that he needed them for his work and that he's going to return them in the morning. And she starts to argue with him, and Kirk is, he's being the man of the relationship, and he says, well, if Spock says he needed them, then he needed them. She's just like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's really...
Whatever you say, pretty boy.
He's really getting that 30s relationship dynamic down.
Tell her, put her in her place early.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no. No.
So
he's like, well, I tell you, if Mr. Spock needed the toys, he needed the toys, see?
I did not say that, people, just so clarify once again. I did not say that. Getting the dynamic right.
Is Kirk dreamy in any era?
I think so, yeah. Yep, 60s Shatner is just a good-looking guy no matter what the time period, I think.
I agree.
He would have been a good spy.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to getting information out of women.
Yeah, because you have to be good-looking to be a spy, yep.
That and charming.
And he's charming for sure. He's got game. I mean, he has to, right? He's just not just like a rank thing.
Yeah, Spock has no game. He wouldn't be able to charm her like that.
No.
He'd just be giving her a bunch of facts. Like, hey, I got some facts for you, baby.
Yeah. I mean, there might be somebody out there that appreciates that, right? She's like, oh, yeah, explain the periodic table of elements to me again. And he just fucking goes.
What is this show becoming? What are we doing, guys? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yep.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, so Kirk sticks up for Spock stealing the tools, and Edith relents on the whole argument and says that she just wants Kirk to go walk her home so he can answer some questions about himself and about Spock, and yeah, they decide to do that, and so they're going for a little walk, and she's talking to him about how Kirk just seems out of place, and that it really seems like Spock belongs at his side and Kirk belongs in another place, and well, this is okay. That's before they go on their walk. So she says that there, and Spock's just like, "Yeah, okay, you guys go ahead and go on your walk. I'm gonna finish up with this furnace here." And Edith says that even when Spock doesn't call Kirk Captain, he does, because he's been calling him Captain this whole fucking time. And this is the one time he's like, "Yeah, you guys go ahead, and I'm gonna stay here." So she notices that he didn't call him Captain, and says that even when he doesn't, he does.
Which was a good observation from her, by the way.
Yeah, I like that she's not just like this pretty chick helping them out in this. Like, she's obviously very intelligent, and like she's running this soup kitchen and like helping a lot of people, and like she gets a lot of really good development in a very short amount of time. Just a very solid character.
Honestly, one of the better women characters that they've brought onto the show that has interacted with Kirk. I agree.
I think just one of the better characters in general, like in terms of the development that she's gotten and the personality that they gave her, is like, yeah, like she's very helpful and she's not an idiot. Like, she definitely notices things and she has, big plans, and she's a very capable character. So yeah, so they go on their walk, and Kirk and Edith are holding hands, and they pass a radio shop playing a love song. So they get, the whole atmosphere thing going on. And she asks Kirk why Spock calls him Captain. And he talks about how they served together, and she thinks that they served in the war together. She's like, oh, she wants to help him out. Thinks that maybe he's suffering from something he did during the war, and then Kirk just kind of talks about future events, and they get close to each other, like they're about to make out. But we cut to a little bit later, and Spock is he's on his computer and he's just working on stuff. And he gets it to work for a second, and then he sees an image of a newspaper article showing that Edith actually gets killed. So Kirk walks in and he asks how everything's going, and Spock's like, well, I think I might have found the focal point in time, but then he warns Kirk that he may find it a little bit distressing.
Right here, I really enjoyed the way the prop is, the whole setup for the computer he has.
Yeah.
But I don't understand where he got this information from.
Isn't it from his TriCaster thing that he brought with him?
Yeah, so basically the machine that he's building is to read his tricorder. They normally need their ship for that. Obviously, they don't have their ship.
Okay.
So this thing is looking at the information from the tricorder, and he's trying to go through the recordings that he made and figure out where time kind of had this divergence, so they know that's when McCoy showed up.
Okay. See, I didn't get that behind it. I couldn't understand what was going on exactly. Now that you explain it, makes more sense.
Yeah, they kind of mentioned it in passing, like it was just kind of this big, not big. It should have been a big thing, and they made it this kind of just small thing. Like, oh yeah, I can't read my tricorder. I need to build a computer to be able to do that. That's the whole reason he's doing it. But yeah, so he shows Kirk an article from February 23rd, 1936, which is just 6 years from where they are, or I guess when they are now. And it says that the President of the United States has conferred with Edith on her plea for action to help the people in the area. So she did so well that she actually got to meet the president to try to help people out. And then the computer malfunctions and it all burns up. And Kirk is like, oh, that's cool. Like, she does really, really well for herself in the future. And Spock explains that just a few minutes ago, he read an article from 1930 that says that Edith is killed in a traffic accident. So they're discussing this, and they discover that, or they theorize that Edith has two possible futures, and that depending on whether she lives or dies, all of history is going to be changed. And so they think that McCoy is the random element that basically makes one of those two things happen. And they don't know if McCoy is going to be the catalyst for her death, or he's going to prevent her from being killed. And at this point,
that's one of those. Go ahead.
At this point, I am all into this. I was like, shit, like this took a really serious turn, and it's at this, like, I think it's just, even now, it's really just like original. It's an original story. It's an original dilemma. And I think, like, at this point, I was like, fuck, dude, this is really good. Like, I really like what's going on here.
Yes, it's ahead of its time for its thought process about the thing with the whole timelines and things like that. I thought that was kind of cool. I also thought it was cool that they put it into where it was hard on Kirk to make it a bigger deal.
Right. Yeah. He gets, his potential love interest is, I mean, basically, like, right here, like, Spock is concerned that in order to set things straight, he literally says he thinks that Edith has to die.
Must die.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's really fucked up.
At this point, does he tell Spock that he's in love with her, or is that a little bit later on still?
It's still a little bit later on, yeah. But Spock's not an idiot. I think he put it together.
Right.
Yeah, so they actually end on that line. We go to commercial break, and we come back, and we see just a guy stealing milk off of a porch. And McCoy just, like, appears literally out of nowhere. And he's yelling about murderers and assassins, and his face is all covered in, like, these crazy red splotches. And he asks the milk thief what planet he's on. He's like, what planet am I on? And the thief is like, all right, I'm not fucking doing this. And he runs away. And so McCoy starts yelling. He's like, I'm not going to kill you, which is a really good way to let somebody know you're not actually going to kill you.
That's what they say right before they kill you.
Yeah.
That's what somebody said right before they kill you. Like, hey, I'm not going to kill you.
No, they're not allowed to after that. I think it's against the law. If you say you're not going to kill somebody, you can't kill them after that, right?
Yeah, well, you give your word, I won't kill you. If you kill them, that's really messed up, man.
Yeah.
I won't kill you. Like, trust me, I won't kill you. But I have that's what the bad guy was. I'm going to kill you, I promise.
Yeah.
But I have my other guy kill you.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the bad guy twist, yep.
Yeah.
So we go to another area where Kirk and Edith are having a talk about how she thinks that man is eventually going to go to the moon, and Kirk is just like, oh yeah, you really think that? And then we just go back to McCoy. So it was a really unnecessary cut in a stupid place, and they could have put it anywhere else, and it didn't add to the story at all.
Yeah.
They could have put that scene before the commercial break and just kept on afterwards with McCoy coming from the future.
Yeah, I would have just cut it entirely. I didn't see the need for it. It didn't go anywhere. Besides just like her getting closer to him.
I think the scene of her saying that, I just think the scene was her saying that, she thinks we're going to go to the moon one day. It was just kind of represent the more of the attraction that Kirk has to her.
Right.
For her ideas.
Yeah. But, so we go outside and McCoy is questioning. He caught up to the milk thief and he's questioning him about, he's like, why do people want to kill me? And the guy is like, he's like, look, sometimes people drink a little too much. And he thinks that McCoy is just drunk. And McCoy is just ranting about how he thinks that he's not on Earth, but he's on a recreation of Earth. And he starts talking about some really weird shit. Like, this is where I wish I had the subtitles on, or had, English subtitles, because he starts like ranting about going to a hospital and like needles and all this other weird shit. And he just like kind of has this crying breakdown, and he just lays on the ground and like passes out. He just like goes to sleep or some shit.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so the milk thief is like, well, this is a perfect time to go through his shit and like just steal from him. So he steals McCoy's phaser, and he's just checking this phaser out, and he accidentally overloads it and disintegrates himself and the phaser. So really good ending to that.
Okay, that's what that was?
Yeah, that was phaser, yep.
Okay, because for me, it felt like it was almost like a transport
timeline
type thing, or someone like beating him away or something. I didn't realize that was an overcharge.
Yep, overloaded.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, and Dan, yeah, I don't know what that would. Maybe that guy didn't go on to do anything important, and so it didn't affect the timeline either. Or maybe at this point it doesn't matter because they're trying to fix it anyway. But yeah, just fucking disintegrates himself. Which I wonder what the point in that was. Like, just to show that he no longer has a weapon, because he had one before and it didn't matter. Like, would it have mattered later? Like, considering where this went?
I thought maybe they were going to do it where somebody found his recorder and they were going to make it into some, and then he left an item from the future or whatever, and then so that changed past or whatever. I thought it'd be something like that.
Yeah, but no, just
I think it was just a moral thing from the show, like, hey, you shouldn't steal, because if you do, you might phase yourself.
You might overload a phaser and disappear from existence.
I don't know. Are we sure that's an overload? Is that what it was?
Yeah, actually, I specifically looked it up because I'm like, what the fuck is any of this? And yes, he overloaded the phaser, and it took him and the phaser with it.
Okay, I've never seen one of that happen before, so that's what really looked kind of weird.
I think somewhere in the past, somebody threatened an overload.
I thought the same thing, Paul.
I thought the same thing, Paul. I thought he teleported himself. I thought they overloaded a weapon and threw it earlier, but it didn't have this kind of effect on it.
Yeah, just production changes, I guess.
Like, I never. Yeah, it kind of threw me off guard.
Yeah, no, Dan, yes, that's what I thought too. I thought that he was like beaming himself somewhere. But then I was like, well.
But then when I thought about it, like, how could he beam himself with no Enterprise? Like,
exactly.
The other part of the technology doesn't exist.
Right.
So I didn't think about him phasing himself. I was just like, that was kind of a weird scene.
Yeah, that's exactly why I looked it up, because that's what I thought. And then I came to that same conclusion and then looked it up. And I was like, oh, he fucking killed himself. What an idiot. what a dipshit. So yeah, he just disappears, and we go a little bit later, and Kirk is talking to Spock, and he asks how long before they have an answer to their problem, and Spock's like, look, I need at least 2 more days. And Kirk is worried that he thinks McCoy might already be there messing stuff up, and Spock just tells him that their last bit of information that they had came from 30 hours of work, and that he's not going to be able to make something happen again quickly. So we go to the next day, and McCoy is just walking around, and he finds a 21st Street mission by some chance. And he goes inside, and he sees Edith pouring coffee and talks to her about it. And then she looks at him. She's like, wow, you really look like shit. You should probably go rest in this back room. And because, he's like, oh, yeah, the people are coming to get me. And she's like, yeah, if you go rest back there, nobody will be able to find you. So she takes him back to this cot to rest. And after they walk off screen, Spock is there, who he's also working in the kitchen. And I find it really hard to believe that with them big fucking ears, he didn't hear McCoy talking to her. He was like, he's right there.
Right?
He got his
beanie on, so he can't hear that good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the beanie muffled everything. So from there, we go to Spock a little bit later using his computer to show Kirk that after McCoy changed history, there was a pacifist movement that delayed the United States entry into World War II. And Germany used that time to complete their heavy water experiments, basically creating the atom bomb before the U.S., and Nazi Germany used that to win the war.
Man, McCoy really fucked up.
Yeah, big time, big time. That's a pretty big fucking change. So he shows Kirk that Edith was the founder of the peace movement that led to the delay of United States entering the war, and so she led to Germany winning the war. So Kirk is like, that's fine, I'm gonna fuck her anyway.
Which is like my thoughts on this episode alone. Just that idea of her bringing peace is the issue. That is kind of like, right. Yo, that's never that don't happen like that. It's normally like somebody does something that causes a war. Not that it leads to peace, and at least the peace is the issue that leads to a war, right, that was destroyed.
Yeah, it's a really good twist on that. They use the other side.
Yeah, I know what I'm trying to say. I think you got the point what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I find it very interesting in itself.
Yeah, because they do it the other way around a lot.
Yeah, you normally spend an episode trying to avoid a war, and now they have to avoid peace.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yep.
Yeah, so Kirk asks how Edith dies and on what day she dies, and Spock says that he can't trace down moments that precise. And this is where Kirk is like, oh man, but I love her. And Spock just says, yeah, that sucks, but she's got to die. Kirk is like, is it really that big an ask to let Nazi Germany win the war so I can have sex with this woman? like which one of those is more important? Bro. Yeah, he's like, be a good wingman here, Spock. All I'm asking is that you let the Nazis win. That's all. It's not a big deal.
We'll fix it later.
Yeah. So yeah, we do go to commercial again, and at this point, like I'm loving this episode, and we come back, and Edith is helping McCoy, who is resting in bed, and he seems to be coming around, like coming out of his cordrazine issue, and he thinks that he's either unconscious or he's demented, and he's not sure which one.
Hey, he's had Scotty stuff before. He knows what it's like to wake up the next day not knowing if you're in reality or not.
You don't know when you are, let alone where you are. That would be some fucking stuff. So he mentions that he thinks he just looks around, he thinks he's around 1925, and Edith confirms that it's 1930, and she offers to let McCoy meet her friend, who refers to Kirk, but she doesn't say it by name, and if she would have, this episode would have taken a completely different turn right here. And McCoy formally introduces himself, and Edith says that, she's like, hey, I don't really believe you, because McCoy's like, oh yeah, I'm a doctor on the ship and blah, blah, blah. And she says she doesn't mean to disbelieve him, but that he's not wearing a Navy uniform. And he's like, well, that's all right. I don't believe in you either. Like, he doesn't think she really exists.
You're a figment of my imagination.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care if you don't believe me. You're not real. So she just tells him to get some rest, and then she leaves. So a little bit later, Kirk is talking to Edith. Like, he comes out of the room, and she's standing on like a flight of stairs, and they're having a conversation, and Spock comes out for a second, but he sees what's going on. He's like, I don't want any part of this, and goes back in the room. And as they're talking, Edith almost falls down some stairs, and Kirk catches her. And then they just have a nice little, oh, thanks for saving me, little smooch. And she leaves, and Spock comes out of the room, and he points out, he's like, when she stumbled right there, she might have died right there if you hadn't caught her. And Kirk is like, fuck.
But hold on. Didn't Spock earlier in the episode say that it was going to be a traffic accident?
Yeah, but I think at this point, they just know that she has to die some way. It don't matter how she dies. I don't think how she dies doesn't matter anymore to Spock. He just knows that she has to die.
Yeah, I think their issue is that they don't know if McCoy's already fucked everything up, so they don't know if the accident was already supposed to have happened. So they're like, basically she needs to die.
All right, I can accept that.
Kirk doesn't think that it's Edith's time to die yet, since they don't. Well, actually, McCoy isn't there, so they don't know if he's there or not. But he's like, "Oh yeah, he's not here." And Spock says that they don't know that McCoy's not there, and he reminds Kirk that if Edith lives, then millions of others are going to die that were not supposed to die before. And again, Kirk's like, "That's cool. I'm just still gonna fuck her."
Yeah, that's a lot of interesting debates between them that keep continuing on and on.
Yeah. And because they don't know if, like, they have to operate on the assumption that McCoy is already there, but they just have no information one way or another. They just know that, like, they're pretty sure this chick has to get killed, or not, or not. I guess it's really weird that they settled on that one.
They're leaning more towards that she should die than be alive, but 50-50.
Yeah, it's one or the other for sure. So Edith, she goes up and she goes back into McCoy's room, and he's feeling much better now, and his splotches are gone, and he's being regular old McCoy, and he decides that Edith is actually not a cordrazine hallucination, and he asks her about where he is, and he offers to help out around the place, and she says that, oh yeah, we can talk about this later, because her young man is going to go take her to a Clark Gable movie, and McCoy's like, well, I don't know who the fuck that is, and then she just leaves.
She just kind of laughed about it, like, "Oh, you don't know who that is." Yeah. Right.
She's like, "Oh, you silly! Everybody knows who that is."
And Clark Gable was like the original movie star of movie stars, actually.
Yeah, I know the name, but I don't know who it actually is.
Oh yeah, he's pretty much in all the classic old school He's like, I don't know. I can't describe who even it would be like Clark Gable nowadays. We don't have nobody. Maybe George Clooney, maybe? Like the kind of like a pretty boy that all the women want this in movies, etc., etc.
Yeah, beats me, man. I don't even know. I couldn't name a single Clark Gable movie.
He's in a bunch of old school movies I've seen before.
Okay, from like the 30s, you think? I mean, that's when this episode takes place. So yeah, probably.
Yeah, but a lot. I mean, not just 30s though. It's like a lot of movies though.
Oh.
If they would have said like Charlie Chaplin, I'm like, hey, I know that guy.
Would that have been period correct?
Yeah.
I think he was the turn of the century, wasn't he?
Oh, I have no clue.
Like he was in like the motion pictures where they couldn't even speak. They actually had to put up subtitles.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm really bad about placing things in history, and I don't know when that was. Yeah, so anyway, a little bit later on, Edith and Kirk are crossing the street, and they almost get hit by a car. And I was like, fuck, that was the one, but it wasn't the one. They get across the street, and she tells Kirk that if they hurry, then they can catch a Clark Gable movie. And Kirk's like, I don't know who the fuck that is. And she's like, that's really funny. Dr. McCoy said the same thing earlier. And then Kirk is like, oh my God, is that Leonard McCoy? And she's like, yeah, it is. And she says that he's right back across the street in the mission. So Kirk yells for Spock and runs across the street. They're getting ready to like go in the mission to look for Bones, and he just comes right out the front door, and they're like, "Oh my God, Bones! You son of a bitch!"
What up, homie? I missed you.
Like they were not worried at all that he was still like all hopped up on drugs. They're just like, "It's fucking Bones."
I'm so worried about you, man. Finally.
Yeah, so they all like hug and stuff, and Edith is really curious about this, and she starts to cross the street, but she does not see the approaching truck. And Kirk goes to warn her, but Spock yells to stop him. McCoy tries, he's like, fuck it, I'll go save her. And Kirk grabs him and stops him from doing that. And she gets hit by the truck. And then McCoy he's super upset. He's wondering why Kirk stopped him. And my only issue with this is not an issue with how things happened, but I replayed it probably 20 times when Kirk goes to help and Spock yells for him not to do it. There's two voices, but neither one, it sounds like Spock is yelling it twice. The other one's not McCoy because his mouth doesn't move and it wouldn't make sense. He wouldn't know why they were trying to do that. But there's two people that yell for Kirk not to go, and I don't know who the fuck the second one is. Just like a really weird audio issue in there.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, a really, really weird audio issue.
Like I said, everybody knows I watched the show while we're talking, but I can't hear the show while we're talking. So
right,
I can't even go back and hear that. But I have to go back.
It's really weird. Okay, so she gets hit by the truck and she gets killed, and McCoy is all upset, doesn't know why Kirk stopped him. We cut to the back to the planet with the Guardian Stone, and all three of them come out from the Guardian Stone, and Scotty asks them what happened because he says they only left a few minutes ago, and the Guardian Stone explains to them that everything has been fixed, and Uhura says that the Enterprise is asking them if they want to be beamed up. And Kirk just says, let's get the hell out of here. And then they all beam up as the episode ends. So it ends on like a really low note. Like Kirk is just fucking devastated.
It's not often you see Kirk down like that.
Well, we didn't see Kirk tell him why.
Oh, well, he would eventually, right? Like I imagine when that happened and everything gets fixed, they probably get chucked out of the fucking stone, and then I'm sure he'll explain it to him on the ship.
Yeah, I'm assuming, but it's kind of weird he didn't explain it to him. And I don't think there's one thing about that whole scene right there. I didn't feel like Bones actually tried to fight to get through. Like as soon as Kirk stopped them, he kind of gave up kind of easy. That kind of, I don't know. I felt like it should have been better acting in that situation where it looked like he was really trying, but it didn't. Like he kind of just got touched and kind of just gave up.
Maybe McCoy figured Kirk had a reason behind it.
Yeah, but I just don't think that. Yeah, but still, I don't think the fight was. I think we could have fought harder.
Well, how much time did he actually have? I mean, fuck, the truck's coming when she goes across the street. Yeah, Kirk goes to take a step out, and Spock stops him, and then like Bones is like, "Fuck it, I'll go." Like that's a lot of time. That truck probably done hit her ass by then.
This 1930s, the cars are slow, man.
Yeah, she screams about it for 3 minutes, but just doesn't get out of the way.
It's going to hit me! Help!
Yeah, so that's the end of that episode. We don't get like a joke or anything to send this one off. They ended on a low note, which was really nice, really good touch for that one. Paul, do you want to go ahead and start us off with what you thought about this one?
I think this episode was extremely overrated. I didn't like this episode.
Oof.
I don't, and I do not know why. Like a lot of it, I like the parts in it I liked, but overall, I found it very boring. And maybe it's just like I know the concept behind it was cool, the idea was cool, everything about it was cool, but I guess I never felt the stakes were very high the whole time, so I felt it was kind of boring, honestly. Like I did like the Guardian of Forever idea. I didn't like the time travel idea. I just thought the time travel idea was kind of I don't know. It could have been done better. All of it, everything in it was just almost good, but everything could have been done a lot better. I don't understand why this was the one people were liked. I didn't see nothing in there that really gave me pause for like, oh, this is so amazing. Like I didn't really get that at all. So to me, even though I know everybody's gonna love it, I just thought it was very like I would if we put I'll probably skip it next time if I had to go through this thing, I'd skip it. It didn't do it. It didn't really do anything for me. So.
Okay, so obviously you're allowed to have your own opinion of it, but what the fuck do you mean the stakes weren't very high? Like it's literally the entire future is at stake in this episode.
Yeah, but I mean, but you couldn't feel the intensity by the way the episode was laid out.
Okay, that's a fair criticism.
Yeah, like it was just I didn't feel like the music didn't feel intense. Like it felt like they were on like a vacation. It felt like they were on a vacation on time, and like they were just hanging out. But it was never like even the thing with the cops. Like there were no cops trying to hunt them down. Like they robbed somebody and beat up a cop. Like I said, there was no cops trying to looking for him. There was no like, that could have been something added in there to make it more intense because they had just beat up cops.
Yeah, I get what you're saying now. Like the tone didn't match the stakes that were.
Yeah, the tone episode was kind of it was kind of lighthearted. Like Kurt and Adriani meeting this girl. Like all that's really cool, but there was no like, oh, I gotta hide you because the cops are coming here to look for you because you did beat up cops earlier. Like,
yeah,
the cops are coming in to search the bums at the place to find out what guy doesn't that he recognizes that guy. That's the guy who beat me up, etc., etc. So I feel like even though their stakes were like big, I feel like the intensity of the episode didn't match the stakes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get what you're saying now.
So that's my big issue with the episode, and that's why I just thought it was kind of meh. So.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I guess I didn't actually look at it like that. So, and you explained it well too. So, thank you for answering my question about that. Yeah. But personally, yeah, you're right. I loved the fucking episode. I loved it. I don't know, man. I do see the hype around it. Like, I get why it is. Again, I wish that we had more in the end of it and not so much. Like, I thought there was some stuff in the middle that could have been cut, but God, it was I really enjoyed it. The whole, future's going to get fucked up thing. Like, we don't know if she needs to live or die. Like, when does McCoy get here? Like, what does he change? Like, does he change stuff? Do we change stuff? And then the whole, it's kind of hard for me to get on board. Like, okay, I understand the Kirk's heartbreak thing. Like, he was really into this chick and then watched her get hit by a car and like, there's nothing he can do about it. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you're really into every chick that you meet. And that kind of lessens the effect for this one, Because, like, he just, every chick that he meets, he gets, like, this about them. So, like, who fucking cares if he lost this one? Like, on to the next one kind of thing. And that part of it kind of, that part of it's not great for me. But other than that, yeah, I damn near perfect episode for me on this one.
Yeah, I guess it'd be different if it was, like, Spock's girl. Like, Spock not really into women, so if it would have been Spock, it would have felt different.
Or if he just wasn't so much as a ladies' man all the time. Like, it's really hard to... He's that friend that every time he meets somebody new, they're the one, and that's the love of his life, and that's the one he's going to marry. Yeah. He's that friend.
Yeah.
Yep. And every time he does it, it's like, okay, yeah, you're kind of rolling your eyes, like, yeah, dude, hope you're real happy together. Like, and then the next one is like, this is the one. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so that's my only point of contention, I guess, for this episode. But other than that, yeah, absolutely loved it. So, Dan?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I loved the episode. Everything you said about it, I can't disagree with it. And I enjoyed seeing the results of what happens throughout the episode, that it actually carries with Kirk at the end of the episode, which I kind of appreciate. They don't leave it on a joke.
Yes.
They just kind of leave it on a somber note. So I appreciated that. It might be my favorite episode. It's pretty close, if not.
See, that's crazy. I got to be the only one. I must be the only person on Earth that don't like this episode.
You might be, yeah.
I might be the one, and it just.
I see where you're coming from, Paul. Like, with like the cops being knocked out and the music.
When I play my issue literally is I felt like for an episode that was so great and had so many good ideas, the intensity would have been struck because while other episodes we have, the intensity is there from the beginning to the end. Like you're in there, you're like, oh my, you're it's like suspenseful. You know, I felt like this is literally like this is very like Bled Vacation-y when I felt like this could have been so much more intense with all the things going on. So I don't know.
Can I make a point about the cop issue that you brought up earlier? And this is me thinking out loud. It's the 1930s. Cops are being shot at by like people like Al Capone and stuff like that. So maybe getting knocked out isn't that big of an issue back then.
Well, I don't know if
you got prohibition and all that stuff going on. I'm not sure if
we're in a big city. I'm not sure if it's a small city outside town. I don't know how big it is. So therefore, this could be a really big deal. But you don't beat up a cop and they just forget about it. No matter what time you're in. No matter what time you're in. Like you just beat up a cop and you stole some clothes. And no matter what time you're in, I feel like there should have been some cop presence looking for them in this episode.
Yeah, but you have to look at it as like it's just a device for them to have to run from something and meet Edith. Like that's the entire point of the whole cop thing. Like it's literally just a plot device. It could have been they got caught stealing the clothes.
Yeah, but I thought the plot device is then why even get caught then?
Well, no, I'm saying they could have been caught by the person that owns the clothes, and that person wanted to beat them up, and then they ran and hid in the cellar. Like it's literally just a device to get them onto the next part.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just me being me. I
don't think it's meant to be looked at too seriously.
Yeah, I just think I think it should have been looked at more seriously because I feel like it could have added some more extra intensity of them trying to hide and solve things and try to do things while trying to make the computer things like that. They're trying to make it more of a we don't belong here. We got to be careful because they're looking for us while we're doing all other stuff. I feel like they could have been really added to this episode to make it more intense, to make it more. Take a lot more intense for such a great idea and really cool concepts. This episode was just it was just kind of I wasn't really into it. It was kind of blah.
Yeah, well, we'll keep that one in mind when we do our end of the season wrap up. We'll see which one you really think is your least favorite.
Yeah, we'll see.
But that is going to wrap it up for this episode. Our next episode is going to be season 1, episode 29, Operation Annihilate. We get an exclamation point at the end of that, and that is our final episode for the first season of this show. I feel like we've been doing this for quite a while now. So
it's been a few months.
Yeah. Do we have a description for that one, Paul?
We do. It says Kirk and the Enterprise must combat parasitic aliens. So, alien literally from Aliens, literally. Who knows?
All right.
But it sounds like it'll be fun. It'll be cool. It'll be our last one of the season. I'm excited for it. And
hopefully it ends on a high note. So.
Yep, let's hope so.
So, all right. Well, with that, as always, Twitter at WWST_podcast. Gmail is WWSTpod@gmail.com. And we are everywhere that you find your favorite podcast. So if you want to switch to another podcast player, we're most likely on there. And as always, thank you guys for listening to us. And I will catch you on the next episode.
Laters, guys.
Later.